very good and warm welcome to Dlala Mzansi, igama lami Mbali Sigidi, and it's always a pleasure having you with us. We continue to shine a spotlight on female trailblazers within the sports industry on and off the pitch. I must say I'm a little bittersweet though tonight because we are wrapping up Women's Month this week and bidding farewell to our very cold winter. However, we are saying hello to spring in a few days, and nothing says spring like a sizzling hot MTN8 competition that is steaming up. Maritzburg United drew with Matatanta in the first leg encounter, while the new kids on the block, Cape Town City, grabbed a crucial win against the Clever Boys. No doubt, though, that the road to the final is certainly not going to be an easy one. If you'd like to join in on that conversation, do follow us on our social media platforms at Soweto TV channel and hashtag Dlala Mzansi. So for those who are missing Vuyo and missing his handsome face, do not fret because he'll be back next week to give you more about the world of sports. So you can catch him next week. Later on though, we catch up Malwandla, who spent the day with hockey player and fitness instructor Nomonde Zwane. But before we get ahead of ourselves, our very special guest for today is a woman who keeps soccer players in their lane, financially, socially, and professionally. She is the CEO of Black Eye on Target Sports, and she's also a consultant for Super Sport United. Mokoena, welcome.
How are you?
Finally, we've been trying to get you.
Finally, I get to sit on this chair. Thank you.
Thank you for finally coming.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
So, I mean, you are a businesswoman. You in soccer, you in Super Sports United as well, but you started your journey on radio.
Yes.
I mean, take us through that journey. You made quite a leap.
From what I'm studying, actually.
Yes.
I started in 2014. I started football a long time ago, but then professionally, I started Junto Media. I was the content producer and also the co-presenter for Sports Alert, the show. And from there, also, I think the MDC started in 2015, the first MDC. I get to cover that for Tshwane TV also, because we're also doing content at Junto Media for Tshwane TV. So yeah, it actually started at Junto Media, so I learned a lot from that, you know, and also I think when you're on the outside, you think you know what's happened within the football fraternity, but then when you get inside, you see that there's a lot of gaps and a lot of loopholes also. So yeah, I saw that that's how Black Eye started also, yeah.
So then how did you find your way then at Super Sports? Because you studied finance, economics, somewhere around that mix. And then now you are in football. That's quite a different profession in a whole, as a whole.
I remember that day like it was yesterday. I remember the main presenter was not available, and I had to produce the show and also present the show. And on the day we had Brian, who's also I think the media officer of Super Sport United, and also we had Mr. Hlekane, who was the technical director of the academy. You know, at that time. Now he's with the first team. So I remember doing a show in terms of development, and also I had so much question for him because I've been having these questions for years. Now I got the opportunity to sit with this guy that I admire. So I asked him a lot of questions, and after that, I remember we sat in the waiting room, and the rest is history. Because I remember after he set up a meeting with the manager of the academy, Giancarlo. Then I went to Pretoria, and then we talked. I had plans, and he was like, he would definitely love to have me as the consultant of the academy, and then the rest is history. So yeah.
Was it then the radio side of sports that really pushed you to this industry, because you didn't study anything sports related, and now you're quite passionate about development? Was it really the radio that really exposed you to this industry that made you fall in love with it?
It's not radio, it's football as a whole, because I started around in 2010. I was covering the Masters of Rhythm for Vuyo, for BlackBerry UK, in terms of the behind the scenes, in terms of presenting. So I've always wanted to get into football, but then it was very difficult for me. You know how it is for females, you know?
Yes.
So I think the radio part, it got me closer to what I wanted to do. And also when I got within the industry, that's when I was able to expand and also venture in other fields or in other positions in terms of football. So I think it definitely has to be what I was doing at Junto. And also I saw other things that I was capable of doing because I didn't study. Because everyone asked me, was like, did you do sport management? I was like, no. They were like, but I was like, give me an opportunity so I can show you what I can do. Because also, you don't have to really study presenting. You know, when you have it, you have it. You know, when it's a gift that God blessed you with, it's a gift that you got blessed with it. So I did that. Yeah, I studied something different, but then football has always been, in my heart and stuff.
I want to touch on the development because now you've had a little bit of exposure within development, but you've always followed it even before you landed up at Super Sports. What are then some of the differences you see with our development in SA and our neighboring countries or Africa as a whole? Because we know that our development, I mean, it's not at the progressive rate that it should be like our European counterparts. What are some of then the key differences that you've seen with our SA development as opposed to Africa?
Don't get me wrong. Our football is growing. Our development is growing. But then if you compare it to other countries, I'll compare it to Brazil.
Okay.
You know, the guys in the academy is not under 16, it's not under 7. It actually starts from under 4, you know, under 5. So football is what they live, it's what they eat, it's what they breathe. So when you start unveiling talent at the grassroots level, when they get at the higher level, you know what I mean, it's something that they're used to. That's why a lot of players in Brazil, they're very successful. I actually say in Europe because they unveil and invest in grassroots and development at a very young age. So I think South African development is getting there, but I think there's a lot of work to be done. You know what I mean? I think also it goes to our parents supporting us in whatever we want to do, you know what I mean? And also because you can't go to the academy, eat healthy, exercise. When you go back home, it's a different lifestyle. So either you're at the academy at home, it needs to be your lifestyle. It needs, because then your career with what we do, how we live, how we eat is very different from an athlete. So development is getting there, but I feel like there's a lot to be done. I think also starting in terms of investing in resources, not only in just tournaments, because if you do a tournament once a year, they have to wait for the following year. But then if we invest in infrastructure and resources, then when we're gone, we're gone, the people within that community, the coaches, they still carry on with the work. So there are people who putting in work, of course, SAFA, you know, the Department of Sport and so forth. But then I feel like there's a lot to be done and we have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go with this interview.
Yes.
More with Maya after the break.